Hello everybody and welcome back to the Ultimate Fashion History with me, Amanda Halley, and an episode in a little series I have running on the channel called That Dress, where we look at some of history and movie history and cultural history's most iconic dresses. And this episode I dedicate to my good friend Jorge and Jacob and Eduardo and all of my pals at the Museo de la Moda in Santiago, because they own this dress. It is part of their permanent collection, and they very kindly took time out of their busy day to take that dress out of their archives and photograph it for me to show to you in this episode of That Dress. And that dress sprung from Strait-Jacket and was worn by its electric star Joan Crawford. Now, before I start wielding my own axe, just to remind you all that I don't do comments here, but if you want to get in touch, I'll leave my deets in the description, or better yet, join the Ultimate Fashion History Facebook group. We've got almost 10,000 members now, and we always have great fun over there. I'll leave a link right on to the main event. I got the idea to do Joan's iconic dress from Strait-Jacket last week when my husband Rupert and I were going through a bit of a hagsploitation phase. Hagsploitation, psycho biddy, grande dame guignol, call it what you will. But we must have watched 1,000 of them, and last year I watched one of them by myself about 5 times as I put together a FAVE film fashion episode on Whatever Happened to Baby Jane from 1962, and starring Joan's real-life nemesis Betty Davis. I'll leave a link to the episode in case you didn't catch it. Whatever Happened to Baby Jane was the first in a very weird genre of B-movies of the 60s and early 70s that saw the grand dames of Hollywood's golden age disinterred career-wise and thrown into low-budget horror movies, and there were a ton of them. Like Lady in a Cage with Olivia de Havilland, The Night Walker with Barbara Stanwyck, another of William Castle's demented B-movies, Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte with Betty and Olivia, What's the Matter with Aunt Helen, which starred Debbie Reynolds and Shelley Winters. All of these actresses who people may have thought were past their prime suddenly actually had a whole new lease on movie life. But I think one of the best of these was definitely Strait-Jacket. First of all, it was written by Robert Bloch, who wrote Psycho, and the story is no less preposterous. But William Castle was no Alfred Hitchcock. But you know what? He didn't have to be. Because according to co-star Diane Baker, Joan basically took over the direction, and William Castle was just so thrilled to have a genuine 100% golden age Hollywood screen goddess in his movie. He basically gave her everything she wanted. Joan got a $50,000 fee, which is about $450,000 today, plus 15% of royalties, and she had control over the script and the casting, which is why the vice president of Pepsi ended up with quite a major role. And speaking of Pepsi, oh yes, never shy of Pepsi product placement, our Joan made sure she got a 6-pack in. And can we just take a moment to admire her 3/4 length sleeved funnel neck shift dress here? Oh, how beautiful. I love female fashion of this era. Anyway, I'll try not to give any spoilers, although I'm sure I will. But before we look at that dress, let me just give you a quick plot rundown. The movie starts with a flashback to the 40s, and here's Joan in a costume test for that portion of the movie. She plays Lucy Harbin, who we first see sauntering home to her husband after a night on the town. Finding her husband, played by $6 million man Lee Majors in one of his first movie roles, in bed with some floozy he's picked up in a bar, Joan isn't pleased. Losing her mind, she picks up an axe, decapitates Lee, and there's not enough $1 million in the world to bionically put his head back on, and then she cuts the head off his girlfriend. But if all of this wasn't bad enough, the whole sorry, sordid episode was witnessed by her young daughter, and this might, it just might, have an impact on her in later life. Poor Joan is put into a mental asylum for the criminally insane, and yes, she's put into a straitjacket and has all kinds of horrible treatments, no doubt. Such was life in a mental institution of the era. I mean, we've all seen Ratched, haven't we? But after 20 years, she's finally released, and she's put into the care of her brother, sister-in-law, and her daughter. The Sibs have been raising her while Joan was indisposed. Grown-up daughter is played by Diane Baker, who says she had a great time on the set and that Joan was very nice to her. So that's good to know. And as you can see here, jailbird Joan is now a sweet, grey-haired lady with not a trace of her sassy pre-axe murdering self. But her daughter soon fixes that. She treats Mum to a shopping spree, including the purchase of a wig that looks remarkably like what we're meant to assume was Joan's real hair in the 1940s segment, and of course they also buy that dress. And here's Joan in one of the movie's dramatic moments, of which there is an awful lot. She wears this dress in all of the key scenes, and it also appears in all of the publicity for the movie, so it's important. So here is Joan in the dress, and here is the dress in the collection of the Museo de la Moda. And guys, you have to check this museum out. It's not only my favourite museum in the world, it's my favourite place in the world. But here's the thing. That dress actually plays an important part in the narrative of the movie. Whenever Lucy, played by Joan, dons her wig and puts on that dress along with her zillion jangling charm bracelets, her personality changes. She goes from being a sweet little grey-haired reformed axe murderer into a bona fide barroom floozy. Absolutely fantastic. And there is Joan, showing what a sassy chick she is. She even tries to seduce her daughter's boyfriend. She even says it's because of the dress. She says something like, "I don't know what happens to me. It's whenever I put that dress on, that dress." Do you have an outfit that makes you act like a floozy? Write in and let me know. I don't have an outfit that makes me act like a floozy, but when I wear this animal print spaghetti strap jumpsuit, I think I kind of look like a floozy. But hey, I guess that animal print spaghetti strap jumpsuits are today's equivalent to Joan's capped sleeve scooped back wiggle dress. And so now, enough silliness, let's take a proper academic look at that dress. Now, I haven't seen it in real life myself, but I hope to next time I visit the museum. But Jorge tells me that it's absolutely beautiful. It's made of a very delicate silk with a white, black and grey floral motif on a champagne background with a self-belt. It has a shift-style skirt, so it's not quite a wiggle dress, but the way that Joan wears it, it certainly could have been. Those beautiful, big, expressive, scratchy flowers on the print are very typical of this era, aren't they? And in fact, they remind me quite a bit of the work of Vera Newman, although I don't think that this dress has anything to do with Vera Newman because there's no label on the dress, and neither the movie credits nor the Internet Movie Database credit anyone with costume design for the wardrobe on Strait-Jacket. I think there may have been a dry cleaning label on the dress at auction, but nothing else. So who designed it? Well, I'm guessing that it was either straight off the peg and then altered by Joan's own seamstress to fit her so perfectly, and that the store label got lost along the way, or perhaps Joan had it made specifically for her by her seamstress, although I don't think it was, and I certainly don't think it was made by her friend Edith Head, who famously made her ringmaster outfit for her in Berserk, uncredited as a favour. I think if it had been Edith, we'd have heard about it, don't you? So I actually have no idea who designed the dress or where it came from, but if you do, please let us know. There are two versions of that dress, identical in everything but size. So how do we know that the dress that we've been looking at is the one that Miss Crawford wore? Well, because of size. Joan Crawford and Diane Baker were very different physically in terms of height, shoulder to torso proportions, everything really, and so we know it's Joan's dress because of the fit, and also the Museo de la Moda owns Joan's dress dummy, which I was lucky enough to see and photograph in LA soon after its acquisition. The dress dummy is the one used in Mildred Pierce, but although 2 decades had passed between the 2 movies, Joan famously kept the same measurements. In saying all of this, if you know anything more about where this dress came from or who designed it, please let us know. So, Strait-Jacket is one of those movies that some people say is so bad it's good, some people think it's just bad, but there are a few of us, and I am one of them, who actually think it's genuinely good. So, what's good about Strait-Jacket? Well, it was written by Robert Bloch, and although not as terrifying as Psycho, it certainly has its fair share of suspense and jump frights. It has fabulously weird and creepy artwork in the opening sequence, sort of like Hieronymus Bosch met Klaus Vormann on the road to hell. It's got George Kennedy in it, and when you've got George Kennedy in a movie, you know you're having a good time. Well, sometimes. It also has that great scene in the striped powder room that speaks to the burgeoning psychedelic era. Joan trapped in a stripy nightmare that always reminds me of that scene in Qui êtes-vous, Polly Magoo? And we've got that great recurring motif of decapitated or disembodied heads. We've got heads in beds. We've got heads rolling downstairs. We have those creepy mannequin heads in the shop window. We have the sculpture of Joan, just her head mind, and the sculpture was actually created in Joan's heyday and used for the movie. And when she first sees it as Lucy Harbin, you can really see how Joan herself felt when gazing at her younger self. We have the full head mask, which means that we also get to have this fantastic scene with 2 heads of Joan, one attached, one not. William Castle loved his heads without bodies, and here he is with just a few of them from Strait-Jacket, and doesn't he look happy? So happy that Columbia Pictures allowed him to decapitate its famous torch lady for the final credits. Yet the very best thing about Strait-Jacket, and what actually makes the movie kind of good, is Joan. It's been said more than once that Strait-Jacket may have been a B movie, but Joan brought her A game. She treated this low-budget shocker with the same respect she brought to Mildred Pierce, and her performance is sensitive and real, and she really deserved so much better. But you know what? Strait-Jacket is an awful lot of fun. Joan is great, and who wouldn't want to wear that dress? Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode of That Dress here on the UFH. You can contact me at the link below. Join the Facebook group. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I'll be back very soon with much more on the Ultimate Fashion History. So until then, thanks for watching and don't lose your head. Bye for now.